What's going on? We are back. Reality After Show. More Squid Game The Challenge Season 2 interviews. And I'm joined by an awesome guest today. We have Manfred, player 223 in the house. How are you?
I'm good. How are you? I'm so happy to be here and to talk more about my game. We didn't see much of me. Oh my god, my dog wants to say hi. Kinda, sorta.
We love the dog cameo.
Yeah.
We're here for it.
Yeah, so I'm glad to tell my side of the story. So super thankful to be here.
Oh, I'm ready for the side of the story. So I want to jump into this first because you're a live reality gamer before going on to this show. So talk about that first.
Yes, so I come from the LRG community, and I say this all the time to the rest of my castmates, but they're like, the LGBTQ community? I'm like, no, the LRG, I mean, yes, but the LRG community. It stands for Live Reality Game. If you don't know, now you know. And what we do in this LRG community is we play fan-made reality games. So I honestly have always been a fan of competition shows, but never like anything like Survivor or anything. I only watched Survivor starting a couple years ago, like because of COVID. Like 2 seasons came out on Netflix, and I started there, and I was like, oh my god, I love this. Like I could see myself on it. And since then, I met someone who had played Survivor Philly, and then that's how I got into LRGs because I didn't know that they existed, and it's kind of you just have to know kind of thing. If you know, you know. And so that's kind of how I got started with LRGs. And for my first one, I placed fourth. They booted me right before the end. I was a threat to win. They had to get rid of me. And since then, I've fallen in love with LRGs and just reality competition TV. And it's just a lot of fun. It's not just Survivor. There's a lot of other games too. I've played The Mole New York, where I was actually cast as the mole, and that was a lot of fun. And I just I'm so addicted. And if you ever get into them, like you'll get addicted too. It's just so much fun. It's a great community. We all have the shared interest and love for reality competition TV. And it's just such an amazing arc to have started playing LRGs literally just over 2 years ago. And now I'm on Netflix competing for $4.5 million. So it's been so full circle for me, and honestly, it only goes up from here. And I'm just so excited for what the future has in store for me. But I owe so much to the LRG community, and I'm so grateful for it. And I even as someone who has played a real reality game, like I still love and respect LRG so much, and I'm still going to continue supporting that community and playing their games.
It is a complete full circle because, as you said, the LRG community, it is a community, people. Once you're in it, you're stuck in it. And the games are very addictive, as you said, because you can go play one and then the next one is completely different from the one you just played, which I think prepares you to go into Squid Game. And what made it be this show? Why Squid Game for you?
Okay, so I have applied to other shows before, like Survivor. I think my first application was 2 years ago. I didn't apply last year because I was already cast for Squid Game at that point. But what made me want to do Squid Game a challenge is because I am such a big fan of the original Korean drama. I mean, who isn't? It's so good. It's like I've always said I'm not into horror or anything like that, but it's like a different type of horror. It's like psychological, and it's so thrilling and exciting to watch. And so I was always a fan of that, but I didn't know that there's a game show for it. So when the challenge season one was released on Netflix, I watched it and was like, oh my God, like I could totally see myself on this. And then my wins, I'm like, oh my gosh, an Asian like winning, like, hello, let's do this. And it's all kids games. And I think, and I said this like during the game in one of my interviews, which none of them were used, unfortunately, but I remember them asking me about, I think, like my favorite set or something. Sorry, excuse my dog. Like my favorite set or something like that. And I said pentathlon because of like the juxtaposition and the contrast of these bright colors, rainbow and kids games, and then the cruelty of it. How there was this line of 10 people who we were all super close with each other, and then they split us down the middle, and then we have to go against each other and then ultimately eliminate our friends, and it's either us or them. It's do or die. And like that's it's so exciting, and you just never know what to expect with Squid Game. And it's also a cast of 456 people. Even though there was like over 100,000 people who applied, like the chances are decent for getting cast compared to other shows like Survivor, where there's only 18 people and tens of thousands apply. So I saw the first season. I was like, I can do this. I'm like uber competitive, and I just have to be the best at everything I do. And so, kids' games, please, I got this. And also, just the whole social game as well. Even though it's like, it's not super important in Squid Game, the challenge, because 95% of the time, if you're going to go out, it's going to be because of a game, not because, you were targeted for being a threat and chosen to be eliminated, So social game doesn't matter as much. It does matter, but not as much as a game like Survivor. But still, I'm just like the type of player who it's easy to make people fall in love with me and to want to work with me. I don't know what it is about me, but everyone, it's like I get along with everyone. That's just my DNA and who I am as a person. And then from there, I can just also, as a strategic thinker, make the best decisions that benefit my game the most. So, I really get along with dad types, because I've always felt like I've had to search for fatherly figures in my life, because I felt like I grew up without a fatherly figure, even though I did have a father who was present physically, but not emotionally. And so I've always sought out like a dad, I guess. And so I get along very well with dad types, but then also I'm just a small person, so it's easy for people, like especially bigger people, to feel like, or even like parents to feel like they have to take me under their wing as well. So social game is just easy for me. And so I felt like it's a game that was designed for me and really fit my skill set. The only thing I can't get around is the luck, but I saw Squid Game. I was like, I could totally do this. I had it saved as a tab in my phone for months because the finale aired in December, and then I did not look at it or touch it for months and months until like May, June 2024 last year, when I saw an ad on Instagram saying we're casting for season 2. I was like, oh my god, like I need to get on this, because I've just ignored this tab. I assumed casting was over and that I missed my chance, and turns out they were casting. So I put in my application. I don't remember how long it took to hear back, maybe a week, maybe a couple weeks, but heard back, went through the process. And at the same time, I was also in a process for Beast Games, which honestly wasn't at the top of my list, but I was like, they're casting a lot, like 2,000 people for this.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a lot of money on the line. I was like, you know what? I'm not here for the screen time. I'm here to win some money. And I was in a final round for Beast Games, but I ultimately chose Squid Game over Beast Games just because it's way fewer people and it's just a lot more fun. I mean, I watched some Beast Game videos online, and it's not my favorite. And I watched this first season, and honestly, I don't want to trash talk anyone else or anyone else's show, so let's just leave it there. But I saw Squid Game. I was like, I can be on this. And I was on it, which is crazy.
You have to go for the show that you're more passionate about, because if you're not invested and you're not interested, you are not going to perform well. So you really have to go in that direction for sure. But I can see why people gravitate towards you. You have fantastic energy. You have a charming personality, which is good for a game such as this, because I know you said the social game isn't as important, but it is still important to an extent.
Mm-hmm.
But let's jump into, I know you said I can't get around the luck component, and boom, the very first game is luck completely.
Oh my god, yeah. It's I was so disappointed to hear that was like the first test, they call it, or I don't know, game test, doesn't really matter, but fact of the matter is half of us are about to be eliminated. And even as an ex, I say this right after I win, I'm like, I hated that. Because now half the people have been cut after a couple hours of being in the dorm, and they did not have any control over their own fate. And yes, we did have a valid strategy. We didn't have a nurse like doing compressions for us or anything like that. We had actual musicians. But so yes, there was strategy, but at the end of the day, if you're not involved with counting or pressing a button, it is luck for you. It's, are you on the right side or are you on the wrong side? And luckily for me, I was on the right side. And that's like the hardest part I think about Squid Game, is that I won't say 9 times out of 10, but a lot of the time you're not going to be in control of your own fate, especially season 2. If you look at season 1, it started with red light, green light, which is what I was mentally prepared for. But at least in red light, green light, you are responsible for whether you make it through or do not. Are you standing still or did you move a little? You know, that's on you. Whereas this game, you sit there and hope for the best. That's literally what hundreds of us had to do. And oh my God, I hope I never play another game that has as much luck involved. Did it once, tried it, will never do it again. Because I mean, I think everyone, or there's no one in this world who likes having their fate in other people's hands, and especially not me. I'm a very controlling person because I grew up without any control. I grew up in an Asian household where I either had to be a doctor or lawyer, and that was it. And so that turned me into a very controlling person. And I acknowledge that about me. It's not the greatest thing, but at the same time, I know I'm going to do whatever I have to do to get the best outcome that I want in whatever it is that I'm doing. And in that situation, I had no control. There's hundreds of people in there, everyone's screaming over each other. They don't show it, but our room was chaotic. Eventually, we calmed down. From what I've heard, the O room was chaotic the entire time, but there's no way that my singular voice would have been heard. And I felt confident about being involved in some way with counting because I have a music background. I know music theory. I was a violin soloist in middle school. And I'm also a dancer, so I know about beats, which all that we really needed was a metronome, which is something that keeps a beat. And what we need are 60 beats per minute because there's 60 seconds in a minute. And so when the musicians volunteered, I was like, you know what? I have full faith because one of the musicians is saying they know a song. I don't remember what song it was, but they know a song that is 60 beats per minute. And that's exactly what we needed. I'm on the stairs just sitting there. And as they're counting, I'm like, this is perfect. And so when they pressed the button, I was confident. And there wasn't a doubt in my mind that we had lost. But yeah, it was complete luck. I could have easily been on the O side and then gone home first. And it really sucks. I really feel so badly for the O's because they did not get to play a game where they were responsible for their own fate. Make that the second game, but not the first game. Like, at least let people have control over their own fate. But you know what? It is what it is. That's the game. I went into Squid Game knowing that luck would be a big component. And luckily, luck was on my side for the first game, at least.
Yes, luck was definitely on your side for the first game, for sure. But when you're going out to a show such as this, you have to have in the back of your mind, I could leave for a reason that is not in my control and have to be okay with that. And you have to be able and willing to accept that fate because we see it so many times. You saw it on season 1. People got eliminated for not doing anything wrong. It's just the design of what the game is.
Yeah, it's that definitely was something that I had been thinking about. And while that was an expectation or just something I was aware of going into the game, you still don't want to go out that way.
Mm-hmm.
Even pentathlon, you know, if my team had lost, like, it would have been because of I don't say this as a way to blame someone, but I did my game that no one wanted to play, which was Kongi, and I was all right with that. And so if my team had gone out, it would have been because of someone else. And that's a hard pill to swallow, going out because of someone else. But something that I learned from this experience, especially with my elimination, because I don't feel entirely responsible for my elimination. And I don't say that in a shady way. That was just the design of the game. It's two people playing at a time. You have a thrower and a catcher. So it's on both of them if they both get eliminated. But it's a hard pill to swallow. And you never want to go out that way. You always want to go out on your own accord. And I think about this all the time, but I'm always like, what is tougher? Is it tougher to go home because someone else screwed you over? Or is it tougher to go out because you screwed up? And honestly, I don't know the answer. And I can't give you the answer because I've only experienced one of those scenarios. Hopefully, if I ever play another game, which I hope I do, I just win and I don't have to experience elimination. But it's definitely something that was in my mind. But I think that was in everyone's minds, honestly. But it's like, while we know that could happen, we don't want that to happen.
Now that you brought it up, let's just hit it right there and we'll talk about it, because I get where you're coming from. I think from my perspective, I would feel worse if I went out and eliminated other people with me. So I failed the game and they left the game because of my accord. I would feel worse about that. I would rather leave the game if it was just me because I made a mistake, but I didn't make anyone else exit the game.
Yes, I agree. And, that's definitely another scenario that I did not even think about because I didn't have that experience where I felt like I eliminated other people. But like, for example, in pentathlon, if our team had gone home and it was because of me, oh my God, like, and I know there's people out there who have that experience and feel terribly about it. And, I don't know how I would handle that, knowing that I was responsible for not intentionally, but still eliminating other people. And I'm sure a lot of people don't feel like they can show their face or, talk in a group chats or anything like that because of that. And that's like difficult. And that's why like the average viewer does not understand. Like, it's for me, before having done Squid Game, I would watch Survivor. And when I see people letting emotions get in their way of making the best decision for them that will ultimately probably win them $1 million, I'm screaming at the TV like, why aren't you making this move? This is a game for $1 million. But then now that I have had that experience of playing a game for millions of dollars, this isn't just a game. It's easy to watch something and be like, it's just a game. Do what you have to do for $1 million. When you're in there and when you see that piggy bank fill up with money, millions of dollars, I said to myself, oh my God, this is real. This is tangible. This isn't a dream anymore. This is an opportunity now to change my life. And it's an opportunity for everyone else in this dorm to change their lives. So it's not a game anymore. It's not a dream. It's an opportunity. And even like, this is a different scenario, but where we're in pentathlon, we had to eliminate the other 5. I was crying the entire time. I was emotional. Like, when we went into that room for the first time as a line of 10 and they split us down the middle, I'm crying because I'm like, oh my God, like we have to play against each other. But in the original show, both teams could make it through if they completed the game within the allotted time. But they're saying the rules in the over the loudspeaker, and they're saying the first team that passes the line will pass, the second team will be. And I'm like, okay, we could both still make it through. And then they're like, eliminated. I'm like, no, it's either us or them. And for me, obviously that became a do or die moment. But at the same time, like even crossing a line, I cried immediately because I knew I just eliminated Enrique over there, who has a 8-month pregnant wife at home, and he's here for his family. And I just eliminated him and I cost him his dream. So it's not as easy as people think playing these games. It's actually it's very traumatizing. It's not a normal thing. Even like in a game like Survivor, it's not normal to vote someone off. You don't do something like that every day. It's actually like a very cruel and just mean thing to do. You're not just voting someone off, or you're not just eliminating someone, you're taking away an opportunity from them. You took away their chance to better their life or their family's lives or whatever it is they want to do. You took that away from them, and that's the game. So it's just a different experience when you have to actually do it versus watching it. And like I can't imagine how someone would feel like taking that away or feeling responsible for taking that away from other people. I'm glad I don't have that experience. I'm glad that my elimination just involved one other person, so it's not like too much responsibility going on, you know. But I feel for everyone, honestly. Like we all have trauma in some sort of way from this show. Even Perla, who won, has trauma in some sort of way. I'm sure from Marbo's, you know, having to let her brother sacrifice himself for her. We all have trauma from this show. It's all very valid, no matter how far he made it.
It does pull at your heartstrings. You're not going to understand the experience until you're actually right then and there. And every experience is different. Season 1, what they felt is going to be different than what you felt in season 2. And bringing up the fact of eliminating people, because we talk about it here, the brothers had to eliminate 3 people. And as you said, they're picking right there of 3 people to take their dream away. And they might not have done anything wrong, but those are the 3 people that they chose to select.
Exactly. And I think they went about it the right way, honestly. I know the twins aren't like the most popular with the fans or the cast, but at the same time, what would you have done if you were in that same
Right.
predicament? I would have eliminated 3 people if it meant saving myself or, you know, someone I came into the game with. Absolutely, 100% any day. Like, I would make the same decision they did. And I think they went about it in a very reasonable way, just trying to gauge what people were there for, what they were playing for. And, you know, they were kind of given like a God position where they get to pick and choose like what's important enough, what's not important enough. Okay, that I don't think is important enough for you to play for. I'm sending you home. Like they were placed in that position, and you can't really hate them for being placed in that position. And I think if they did it in a very reasonable way, trying to figure out what was less important, what was more important. Like, I mean, Jackie was so iconic for like, I'm gonna take my friends, like we're gonna party on a yacht. Like, yes, like it's $4.5 million. Do whatever you want with it. Like, obviously, that's something we all plan on doing in some capacity. Like, we're not just gonna use like every single penny on. I mean, I'm not gonna speak for everyone, but I'm not gonna use every single penny on like something meaningful, important. I want to spend a little bit on having fun or something material. You know, it's $4.5 million. So
Don't say it out loud though. That was
exactly.
At
Like,
home we're all rooting like, yes, queen, the yacht. Okay, we see it, but
exactly. I mean,
don't
it's
tell them that.
amazing TV. It's such good TV, but also the gamer in me is like, you can't say things like that. And
No.
I guess that's kind of where like the gamer experience comes in. Like, I was never asked by the twins. I didn't have any conversations with them yet at that point, but I would absolutely not say anything like that to anyone because you just make it easier for people to be okay with eliminating you. Like I said before, it is not normal to take $4.5 million away from someone, and you have to make it as difficult as you can to make someone eliminate you. And when you say things like that, it makes it so easy for someone to eliminate you. Even Mark, I love Mark, but when he was talking about his Star Wars wedding, I'm like, okay, you know what? Like, maybe I should eliminate you. But no, I would never eliminate Mark. I knew Mark before the game. He was like very wholesome when he said that, and it was very genuine. And I'm glad he was able to save himself out of that situation because he was definitely being targeted for a little bit. But I mean, honestly, I love it because it's such good TV. I'm glad Jackie said that. For entertainment purposes, but I'm sad that she got eliminated for it. But you kind of make it easy for people to want to eliminate you when you don't say something like noble, you know.
Well, even in her instance as well, she's probably getting popped right there going, what the hell did I say out of all these other folks for it to be me to get eliminated?
Exactly. And I remember that moment. They show it out of order, but it was the brothers that had gotten eliminated first, one after the next, and Jackie was the third. But after the brothers get eliminated, we're like, okay, a pair just got eliminated. There's only one person left that could be eliminated. It could be any of us. And I remember just freaking out, like thinking, okay, you know what? I haven't done anything that's like super out there to get me noticed. I'm not being super social where I'm visibly seen being like talking to everyone, which happened in season one where someone was seen talking to everyone and then they got eliminated. So I haven't put myself out there where I think I would be targeted, but you never know. One more person is going to be eliminated and it could be anyone. And I remember hearing that final pop. I'm like, oh, it wasn't me. But I run to where Jackie is and she's crying. There's a whole bunch of people around her. And then I start crying. And I'm like crying because I'm upset for her because I'm like, what does she do? I mean, I didn't know her, but I didn't see her do anything that would be grounds for elimination. But at the same time, I was so relieved that it wasn't me. So I guess it was like tears of relief. But yeah, it's like from her perspective, she must be like, what did I do? Like,
Hmm.
and it's tough because it's like those three people also didn't get to play the game. They were on the right side. They were exes, and then all of a sudden they didn't get to pentathlon yet, and now they're gone. And it's Squid Game is like such a cruel game. I hate it. Why did I do this?
It's ruthless. It really is. They put you in there and they say, go. And they make a show out of it. It's really, that's what it is. It's the green light. Let's hit it. Pedal to the metal, folks.
Yeah.
So let's dive into the pentathlon because you've already mentioned you were grouped up with a group of 10 people that you were close with. Now we see a couple other people chose to go the other route. I'm going to split up from the person that I'm closest with. So what made you stay with people you felt good with?
Um, I mean, we didn't know what the game was going to be. I did go into the white room counting the dots on the floor, but I was actually counting the wrong direction. So instead of the dots facing the door, I was counting the other way. So I don't know, horizontal, vertical. I don't know at this point. But I'm counting like 15 or so dots or maybe more. I don't know. And I'm like, okay, like let's get a group that big. Like I want to play with people that I feel most comfortable with. Like I don't have the information that this game is about to be against people that you're teamed up with. I don't have that knowledge. So I go in and I think it's instinct that I'm like, I just want to be around the people I trust the most. And it just so happens that it ends up being 10 people per team. And I'm like, okay, well, there's 11 of us here. Like, someone is going to have to volunteer to leave us. And there's like a couple different like approaches that we have. Someone mentions voting, and I'm like, I am not voting someone off right now. This is not Survivor. I am not doing that because you're also letting this person know that they're at the bottom of this alliance. And this
Yep.
alliance is called the Breakfast Club. It's um consists of like me, Viper, Steve, Tommy, and Peter, which is like my core five because we all came from the airport to the hotel in the same shuttle. So boom, easy alliance to ride with. So that was my core five. But then there's also Selena, Michiko, KB, Enrique, Blair, and Jacob, who were the same cohort. We're in the red cohort, which for people who don't know, we were assigned cohorts in the hotel that we could talk within, but not to other cohorts. So I assume there's probably like 9 cohorts of around 50 or so people each for 456. And excuse me. So these are the people I feel closest with. There's only like 15 of us from red cohort left after X and O. Most of them were O's, unfortunately. So I already feel like we're down on the numbers in terms of people that I feel good with. And eventually Jacob volunteers to leave our group. And there's a couple people saying like, no, like don't leave, like the people closest with Jacob. But I'm just glad that I'm with the people I feel closest with, like my core 5 first, and then everyone else I feel good with too. The survivor player in me was already trying to play the middle in terms of create all these relationships within these sub alliances, because while we have this big alliance, there's definitely smaller alliances where people feel closest with certain people, and I just have to be that person who's closest with everyone. And so that was the way I was playing it. And yeah, that's kind of how we chose our 10, but it did not cross my mind for a second that we could be playing against each other, which I should have known better, but we didn't know.
You had all the mentality there of the survivor aspect, groupings. Can I be in the smaller group of the bigger group? But you didn't think of, oh, we could be facing each other. So you get in there, they split y'all down the middle. You have your 5 with you and the 5 on the other side. How did y'all decide which games you were playing, and walk us through that?
Sure. So yeah, it just so happened that how we sat in a line too just ended up being like my core 5 on one side and then the other 5 on the other side. So it worked out perfectly for me. But in terms of splitting up the games, everyone knew that I could play Kungi because in the hotel, we were there for a couple days. And there was one day where we're in like the dining area, and red cohort was there, orange cohort was there, and someone had brought down all the pentathlon games to practice in the hotel, and someone brought them into the dining area, and so there's Kungi there, and I was like, let me show off my skills. This may put a target on me, but at the same time, I think it's going to make people want to work with me. We've all seen season 2. We know that the pentathlon games have a huge chance of being in the show, so I show off my skills. Everyone sees this, and like they all want me on their teams. I'm like, well, I'm the best Kongi player here, so I get to choose who I want to be with. And so I see people playing spinning top. I see people playing Dokji, throwing stone. I'm like, okay, I want you. Like, you're a baseball pitcher. Like, I want you on my team for flying stones. I like, people already knew that I could play Kongi, so it was like no one had to talk about that. Like, they were like, you're playing Kongi. Peter's like, I'll do ball in a cup. Viper's like, I'll do throwing stone. And then Tommy's like, I'll do jeggy. And then Steve kind of gets stuck with House of Cards. And it doesn't really seem like he wants to do House of Cards. But then I'm like, Steve, I can do House of Cards. I grew up playing this with a whole deck of 52 cards. I would literally do like starting at like 5 on the bottom, then 4, 3, 2, 1. Like, I've done this before. And it's way easier here. It's just 2 and then 1. So he's like, no, you have to do Kongi. So I was like, okay, that's fine. I'll do it. So in terms of splitting the games up, it actually ended up being very easy.
Yeah, y'all seemed like you were all set. You had a stacked team, though, might I add. That's a good group of players to all have on one team right there.
Yeah, it was. And the way the game went, it was kind of a blowout. Peter gets ball in a cup, 1 try. Viper gets throwing stone, 2 tries. First try, he like literally almost hit the wall though, and we had to stumble all the way over to the wall, stumble back, but he got in the second try, so that was great. And there's still a ball in the cup, by the way. Like, we can hear the ball hitting the cup, like that sound. So we know we're good. And then I'm on Kongi. First, second, third stages, I do in 1 try. Fourth stage, I start messing up a little bit. So I actually knew how to play Kongi in middle school. I was taught by some Korean friends, and it became a very big thing in Queens in New York around 2008, 2009. You just had to be there. Otherwise, like, you don't know anything about it. It's such a like a weird phenomenon, but it became very popular. Like, it came back during that period of time. And that's when I was like middle school, early high school. And I became very good at it. And it's kind of like muscle memory for me at this point. So, but the way we did the fourth stage was a little different, where in the game they had us roll all the kongi onto the board, and then we pick one up, and then we throw it in the air. We grab all 4, and then we catch the one we threw in the air. And that's a little more difficult, actually, because when you're rolling them, they don't all fall in like one spot. So that grouping of 4 is a little harder to pick up, and it's 4 of them. So it's a little more difficult, whereas I grew up playing it where you have all 5 in your hand, you throw one up in the air, you place all 4 left in your hand on the table, and you catch it, you throw that one, grab all four, and catch the one. And when you throw one in the air and you place four on the table, it's easy to just place them all like right next to each other. So it's actually very easy to grab. So it ended up being a lot more difficult than what I was anticipating, and I started messing up. And I start panicking and I'm freaking out, and then my hand starts like visibly shaking. And then at one point, it actually shows it in like a little montage, like a split screen where my hand is a little too close, and the one that falls onto my hand, it bounces out. And then we all have to get up and walk over to this kongi because it bounced a little too far away and then come back. But at that point, I'm like, you know what? I can still hear them doing ball in the cup. Like, we are fine. So I take a deep breath and I roll it like very softly so that the kongi don't like spread out too much, and I get it. And then the fifth stage, they made it easier, so I got that in the first try. And then like I think they finally finish Ball in a Cup. So we're doing well. We're on House of Cards, they're at Flying Stone, and Steve is like taking forever with House of Cards. House of Cards. I didn't know this, but every team struggled with House of Cards. I didn't think it was that hard, but I didn't do it. I wasn't under that pressure. My hands weren't shaking, so I don't know. But he was struggling with it, and I was kind of coaching him through it. But they're really struggling with Flying Stone. So we're like, Steve, you got time. You're fine. And Viper's like, remember what you're doing this for. Like, you're here for your daughter. And eventually he does get it right as they finish Flying Stone. But we're so ahead at this point. Like, it does not matter. Tommy does Jeggy in like 2-3 tries, and then we cross the finish line when they're like basically just starting kongi. And you actually see this. It's very fast, but like my line is crossing the finish line. I fall to my knees. I'm crying. And then Selena on the other side is like, oh my God, they won. And you see her like looking towards us, like starting to clap, and then they all get popped and die. And it's like a little funny, but it's also a little sad. I was crying because we just eliminated like our friends. Like, we thought we're down on numbers. Now we're even more down on numbers. It was a very emotional experience, but I mean, I'm glad that I was able to make it through. But at the same time, I wish we all could have made it through. That's the game, though. It's a really tough game, and I think a lot of teams were formed based off of who people felt closest with.
Right. There was only a couple people that I've talked to personally that chose to split up from one another, but for the most part, people tried to stick with groups they felt comfortable with. And just this game overall, it's such a fun one to watch because it's intense. It's brutal, as you said. You have your group of 5, and I'm close with those 5 other people, but I have to lock in with this group because that's the only way I survive.
Yeah, it was, and it was exciting to watch, especially the first game they showed, which was with the twins. It was so back and forth, and that's really how not my pentathlon, but a lot of the teams that did make it through were behind at one point. So it really, I think, mostly came down to Ball in a Cup and House of Cards. Those seem to be the most difficult games, and the ones where people would get stuck on. But I mean, it was very exciting to watch. So back and forth, so intense. Even seeing the sweat drip off of Robin's face, like it was such good TV. And I remember them saying how they had to film this over 2 days, and that it was something epic. And I'm like, well, pentathlon isn't epic, so we're not playing pentathlon. And we ended up playing pentathlon, but I'm glad, like, seeing it on TV, it really is epic. It's so good. And I'm glad they did that, honestly.
Absolutely. There's so much to it, and you can't, this is not scripted, folks. Just the way that it was, as you're talking, the sweat off of the face, that is real time there. But you make it through. We get back into the dorm, and now a couple of the twists are floating into the game here and there. So we have the boiler room, we have the scratch off. Talk about those.
Yeah, so and there's also the X and O vote too, to vote out those 5 people.
Yes.
So I think that is what happened first. So we wake up. This is like day 4 at this point, and then that twist happens, and at first we're all like, well, at least I'm like, I can't vote out the musician. He got us through the first game, and he's the reason why we're here. So I'm like, I'm voting O. And then Isaac, who I'm super close with, Isaac, Viper, and I were in this all queer alliance called the Queen's Court. So iconic. They don't show this, but Isaac is player 455. So his number is the first one to vote since they started from the back. And I'm like, Isaac, vote O. And he goes up to the voting buttons or whatever, and he presses X. I'm like, oh, okay. And honestly, I'm so glad he did, because it was such good TV, and it really set the tone for, whoa, we are playing the game. And I don't think I really talked much with him about his reasoning for voting X. I mean, he does talk about it, like he's shown saying, all these other players can go. Like, at the end of the day, I'm here to win. So I didn't really have much conversation with him about the reasoning behind that, but it made for really good TV. So I'm glad he did it. But then the sentiment, I think, did start as we're all voting O, because the musician is up there. He got us through. But very quickly changes to X, because we're like, wait a minute, it can't be that easy. What if it's the next 5 slowest people? Or what if it's the 5 fastest people? And so this becomes a game of protecting yourself or your allies. At least that's what it was for me. I can't speak for anyone else, but Mark comes up to me. I have this secret relationship with Mark. Like, we know each other outside this game. We know we can fully trust each other 100%. And he tells me that he was super slow with Ball in a Cup, and that he's scared that he could be next. And I'm like, you know what? I'm scared for Steve too, because Steve was super slow with House of Cards. Like, I have to vote X. I have to protect the people that I'm closest with. And unfortunately, none of the people on stage I have like something concrete or an alliance with. So that's kind of when the sentiment kind of starts shifting towards X. And so I do vote X. And it's like a very significant difference in the votes. But the 5 go, and then there's like, I remember, I think it was Isaiah, player 410, like he was like talking with some people. He voted O, and then like saw him like look, like hug someone, but then like go back and look at like what patch they got, and he saw an X, and he like made a face. So I'm like, oh, is there like X versus O going on now? I'm like, no, this cannot happen. Like, the survivor player in me is like, we are not having this drama go on. There's no X versus O. This is what they want. We're not giving it to them. And so that's where I shifted the conversation towards X and O. No matter how you voted, we voted for the same reason. You voted O to protect people you're close with. Maybe they were the ones on stage. We voted X to protect who could have been next. So we voted for the same purpose, to protect people. And so I try to dissolve that and stop that from happening, but they don't really show much of that anyways. But the next twist was the boiler room and what we call Cookie Gate.
Yes.
And I remember just like not caring. I was so unserious in there. And I'm like such a gamer, so I'm very shocked at myself. But I was just having such a good time, like hanging with my queens, Viper and Isaac, and who I call my squid dad, Steve. I was just there for a good time. And I remember it was happening, and I was like, I'm going to the bathroom. Like, talent show. They don't show it, but I was like, they were having a talent show. I was like, what is this about? I was like, I'm going to the bathroom. I come back from the bathroom, and I'm with Isaac, and we're in the hallway, and the boiler room, like the door to the boiler room is in the hallway. So I'm like listening in against the door with Isaac. I see the camera that's like right in front of the door. It like turns to me and Isaac. I'm like, the cameras are on me. Like, let's like do something for the cameras. And I'm pretty sure I overhear someone say like, we need to like make a distraction or something. And I assume that's what the talent show was. So I'm like, distraction? Like, what is this about? Are they about to like eliminate people? And I don't know what the distraction was for, because there's nothing about the cookies that would eliminate anyone. But yeah, so I don't even know what that conversation was about. Maybe I heard what I wanted to hear. Maybe I hallucinated it. I don't know. But I mean, I wasn't sleeping, so maybe I did hallucinate it. But I remember after like the whole talent show thing happens in a dorm, one of the twins is missing his water bottle. And we're like, they were asking for our lip balm, like our little Vaseline in these jars. They were asking for those in exchange for a cookie. If you give them that, they'll give you a cookie. So we're like, if they get a hold of our personal possessions, are we eliminated? So we all grab our bum bags, as the UKers like to call them, but I know them as fanny packs. So we are grabbing those. We are grabbing our water bottles. We were all holding onto our own possessions. It was like honestly a little crazy, but funny at the same time. And eventually the twin finds his water bottle. So we're like, oh, okay, we're fine then. But we're also, what's next? Oh, there's also some chores as well. And within my alliance, so what's left of like the Breakfast Club is me, Tommy, Viper, Steve, and Peter. And after pentathlon, Tommy's like also crying because he's like eliminated Selena, who he was really close with. And Peter tells Viper that he wants to eliminate Tommy because he saw him as a liability to the alliance, but he also wanted to make a big move. And then after taking out Tommy, he would take out Steve. And I'm like, oh my God. And me, Viper, and Tommy are showering right now. We're alone in the shower room. And Viper is telling us this. And we're like, oh my God. And after, and I believe Viper at this point, because I did overhear a conversation Peter was having with someone about if you make a big move and make a splash, eliminate someone, you could get like 30,000 Instagram followers. So when Viper tells me this, I believe him because it's so in line with Peter's character. And I don't care what you come to the show for. I don't care if you're there for screen time. I don't care if you're there to win. Doesn't matter to me. Just as long as it doesn't screw my game over. And right now, you're screwing my game over because you're trying to eliminate someone who I want to work with.
And is in your corner. And is this foreshadowing of Peter? Because then we see in Mingle betrays the people.
Exactly. And so this is why like the survivor player in me is like, we have to get Peter out. And so I believe Viper. And so the chores happen. They ask for 2 volunteers. And guess who volunteers first? Peter. I'm like, oh, he's trying to eliminate you, Tommy. Now you have to go and do the chore with him. And Tommy at this point is like, he's so paranoid. He's been spiraling out of control all day. And he's like frozen and he does not stand up to go do this chore with Peter. I'm like, what is going on? I was like, Viper, go volunteer. And Viper stands up, but then at this point, Shamir already volunteers to do the chore with Peter. And you see this for like a split second, but Peter and Shamir are shown in the shower room, like mopping it. It shows it for like a split second. But so that happens. I'm like, oh my God, he's trying to eliminate Tommy. If he gets the opportunity to, he's gonna eliminate him. And then they ask for 3 more volunteers to do a chore. And immediately me, Viper, and Isaac are like, we're gonna do a chore. And then they had us wash like the grossest, nastiest dishes. It was like staged just to give us something to do. So they had a whole bunch of like the tins that we would eat food out of. They had them on a countertop and they like squirted mustard and mayonnaise and peas and carrots and beans on them and just had us wash them. And it was so disgusting, but we're like, we're trying to eliminate Peter. We're talking about people who we want to eliminate. And unfortunately, there is no opportunity to eliminate someone. And it's funny, it's like we were like looking for things within this kitchen. Like we were looking for an idol. So honestly, it was a lot of fun. They don't show it at all, but it's okay. But also what happens later that day are the scratchers. And Isaac is like, I feel good about this. Like I'm volunteering to do a scratcher. And I'm like, okay, girl, I'm not risking $4.5 million for this, but if you feel good about it, you do you. And Peter also feels good about this and goes in line to get a scratcher, which I'm like, I hope he gets eliminated. And he gets a disadvantage. So at this point, I'm like, yes! Like he's going to get eliminated. He has a disadvantage. He's like very sad at this point. He thinks he's about to lose the next game. He like just goes off in a corner alone to be by his lonesome. And I'm just like super happy. And then Isaac gets the donuts and me and Viper are like, just like, yes! We're like cheering. We're super excited. He brings back the donuts. And then I'm disappointed because the donuts were like the cakiest and densest donuts I've ever had. a donut is supposed to be light and fluffy. I don't know if UK does donuts differently or if it was just exclusive to Squid Game, but they were disgusting. I hated them. They were
They
not.
gave you stale donuts. That's what happened.
That's probably what it was. Yeah, I did not enjoy them. I don't know if anyone else has a different opinion on them, but I did not think they were good. But anyways, like at this point, I'm just super excited for the next game. I know Peter has a disadvantage, and then we all kind of are on the same page. Me, Viper, Steve, and Tommy are like, we're eliminating Peter when we get the chance. So honestly, that day was probably one of the most fun and best days that I had in the dorms.
There's so much tea there because we don't see the back and forth of,
I
oh, I want to
know.
eliminate somebody, but you have the survivor mentality. Oh, I'm gonna get you before you get one of mine.
Exactly, yeah. Ugh, they don't show any of it. I'm so pissed.
And honestly, they could have put that in the edit because then it makes complete sense on why Peter chooses to leave and mingle as well.
Yes. And it's like that's a storyline I was thinking about too. And I mean, I get it. You only have 9 episodes instead of 10 episodes this season. And it's like you have to pick and choose what stories you want to tell. But with our specific Breakfast Club Alliance, there were stories, there was drama, and it doesn't necessarily pan out in the way we want it to, with Peter like actually eliminating Tommy, because I don't think Peter was the one responsible for eliminating Tommy, but you do see Peter and Karim like actually eliminate other people by leaving the room and joining up with people looking for a room, and then they end up being fine and they eliminate people that they were with. That doesn't happen to Tommy specifically, but at the same time, the story concludes itself in the best way possible where Peter succeeds. He actually outlasts all of us, and he's the last remaining person from Red Cohort. And so I always call him a cockroach because he outlasted all of them. And honestly, he did that. So kudos to him. And unfortunately, it doesn't get shown, but storyline wise, I felt like it was a good and satisfying story. Like the villain succeeds, and I love that.
Well, I love that you came and shared this because people don't know. And now that we know, and now the full story makes complete sense. But we're going to jump into catch here. And you go into the room and they tell you to pick the color, essentially. That's the grouping that you're going to be with. What line, remind me, were you in? Which people were you with?
I was in a blue line with the twins because
I
I was
have a
like,
question.
yes, go ahead.
Why in the hell are the twins in the front?
That's what everyone was saying. And when people saw our line, they're like, what happened? Like, y'all got screwed. And so we all have like 10 minutes to discuss as a group, like how we're going to figure out our positions within this line. And they start off the conversation. 431 is saying that 432 should be first in line because he got us all through the game, the first game, by pressing a button. And so he should make it through. And I'm like, he pressed the button. He didn't
And
get
didn't count.
He
Neither
didn't
one
count.
of you
And
counted.
pushed.
Everyone else counted. All he had to do was hit the button when someone said to do so.
Exactly. But I'm fine with this because I'm a survivor player first. And I was like, yes, this is ammunition that I can use against the twins, because in a perfect world, if I get to eliminate one of them, I'm eliminating 432 first, because people already feel like 431 doesn't belong there because he was an O and he should have been eliminated with the rest of the O's. So why would I eliminate 431, who people already want to eliminate more, when I can get rid of 432 and keep 431 in? He will always go before I do. And I operate in terms of, like, when it comes to these games, I need shields around me, because if people really knew how I played, they would clock me as a very big threat. And so I need shields around me. And so for me, I saw this as an opportunity. I always saw the twins as an opportunity. I never really wanted to eliminate the twins. I always wanted to use them as shields to go before I did. And so I was fine with it. I was like, if when I make it out of this game, I'm using this against them. So I personally was fine with it. And my first instinct is I need to be in the front because that's the safest place for me. And honestly, the strategy that they had for placement within a line, I agreed with. They wanted like the more intermediate people with throwing and catching in the front, the more advanced and confident in the middle, because the middle was probably the most dangerous place to be in. And then the back for the least confident people, because then we can be like, I'm here because I know I can't catch it. So if you throw it to me, you will get yourself eliminated. So, and I think more or less every single line strategy was very similar, where the least confident people were in the back, or the people who did not want to play were in the back. And my instinct at first is I need to be in the front. And so I agreed with the strategy that our team had anyway. So that's why, even though I couldn't get my voice heard in this team of all alpha males, I agreed and was fine with what ended up being the strategy. But I end up in the back because now I'm overthinking it. And because I think out every scenario and I'm like, what if there's different ball sizes? What if the first couple of balls are small and they're really hard to catch? And what if the ones later on are huge and they're way easier to catch? And so we don't know what the ball size is. So I kind of get into my own head. I overthink it. And I'm with Isaac right now. And I'm also with Steve and Tommy and other people I feel good with it. Marcus, the big football player 021. I feel good about him. So I feel good in my line. But Isaac is like, I'm going to the back. And I'm like, you know what? I'm going to the back with you. So Isaac is in spot 22 out of 26. I'm in spot 21 out of 26. And I'm like, I feel good about this. And there is one point where Marcus, the big football guy, like he goes to the back of the line and asks every single one of us if we want to switch. And it's almost like everyone else knew the front of the line was the safest place, except to me. Because it's like the Twins knew it. That's why they wanted to be at the front. They knew that was the safest place to be. They knew that was a free pass to the next game. Marcus was probably in like spot like 14 or so. So it was the middle, which is not the safest place to be. But 14 was way better than 21 because I was so far back. But I was like, nope, I feel good. So I end up in spot 21 out of 26. I'm very far back, but only 16 balls have to drop. So I feel very good. There's 104 of us in here. They have to drop before it gets to me.
How many balls had dropped before it was being thrown to you?
Oh my God. Well, I realized I made a mistake once like the first 25 or so people made it through without a ball dropping.
Yes.
I thought more balls would be dropped even though they were close to the center. And that's, I guess, where I underestimated that it's easy to catch a ball when you're that close. So I realized I made a mistake and I'm like, shit, I'm in a very bad spot now. But I ended up being ball 15. So I was the second to last ball. And it's so, it's like I was so close. But it's also iconic because Isaac is ball 16 and he goes out last. I go out second to last, and Viper goes out in the dramatic and iconic way that he does. So it's just like also a great story that the entire Queen's Court goes out on catch in the way that we did last, second to last, and with the Viper and Dalton thing. And unfortunately, they don't show the Queen's Court, so they don't show that as well. But it's like, it's so iconic, and they decide not to show it. We're all in all queer alliance. And Isaac even says, right as we find out the game is catch, that this game is homophobic. And guess what? We all went home.
Oh my goodness. So the player that threw you the ball, was there any chance that they would go somewhere else, or was it always locked in to be thrown to you?
I know, it was always going to be me. They read my lips. So it's funny. If you watch my face throughout catch, it gets worse and worse as the game gets on. I start off like being all smiley and happy and clapping, like I'm fine. I'm gonna make it to the next game. I don't even have to play. And then I'm like, as Mark is like about to be eliminated, and then I'm crying because Mark gets eliminated, which doesn't get shown. But then Viper like is about to go, and I'm like, and then like he gets eliminated, and now I'm crying, and I'm like, and it just gets worse and worse as the game goes on. And so I'm like very emotional, and I want other players to see this. I can cry very easily if I need to. So I'm like getting very emotional, and I want people to see this so that they don't think I feel confident in catching this ball. I don't want people to throw to me. And that was the strategy of our line. We are going to keep throwing it to our own line and stop it where that person does not feel confident, and they're going to tell people not to throw to them. And originally that person was supposed to be Ram, who Ryan272, the guy who said his thing about Mark and people judging him, like he's the one who threw it to Ram. And it's very interesting. I don't want to, from my perspective, I'm not going to speak about Ryan's perspective. From my perspective, it seemed like Ryan wanted like a moment, and Ram is asking for this ball underhand, and Ryan is like, I'm throwing it overhand. Meanwhile, there's also people way closer than Ram, because Ram is like spot like 17 out of 26. And Ryan can throw it to someone else who's probably more guaranteed to catch this ball. But he's like, I'm throwing it overhand, and I'm throwing it to him. And unfortunately, it hits Ram's hand. It bounces out of his hand. He doesn't catch it. He gets eliminated. And then the ball goes to Ann Lenny right behind him. And then Ann Lenny throws it to someone who's way closer, and they catch it. Ann Lenny makes it through. So at this point, the line stops at 19, Alicia, player 229. She's in spot 19. It stops at her, and she holds it for hours. No one throws it to Alicia for a long time. But sorry, I lost my train of thought.
It's all good. No, there's just so much that does happen with it, and that's the thing, because we see.
Yes, I remember now.
There you go. Go for it.
But I like Alicia is like honestly, I wish Alicia turned her back. She might have gotten a good fan reaction, but it would have made people feel less likely to throw to her. I just needed her to hold it a little longer because I was ball 15. But eventually the ball does get thrown to Alicia. She misses it, and then Kendra gets to go to the center for free. And that's why I needed Alicia to catch that ball, because if Alicia catches it and then if someone throws it to Kendra and Kendra misses it, then I get to go to the center for free, because that was the rule. If someone misses the ball, then the person that got thrown to, the person behind them, gets to go to the center for free. And now they are halfway through the game, and now they just need someone to catch their ball. So Alicia misses, so Kendra gets to go to the center for free. And before she goes, I'm like, Kendra, can you throw? And she's like, I think so, maybe. And
no, you can't say.
I was like, but at that point, I'm willing to take that uncertainty over a flat out no. But she goes to the center, and she's looking around like who to throw to, and like she's looking at me, and everyone behind me is like, no, do not throw here, because they don't want to have to go eventually. Like if it keeps going down our line, then they might have to go. So they're like, no, don't throw it here. I was like, you know what? Don't throw it here. Throw it to India over there, player 112, because behind India is Greg, who's this dad, and he seems like he might be athletic and knows how to throw a ball, because at this point, I'm confident that I can catch the ball, but I need a good throw. And the reason why everyone is missing these catches is because the throws are short. And so I'm like, throw it to India, because sorry, but I need you to get eliminated so that the ball goes to Greg for free, and then Greg can throw it to me and I get a good throw. So I tell her to throw it to India, but then she chooses Olga, who was the one who was saying, I'm sick, I have a fever, which is so iconic, honestly. We were all sick in there. We had influenza A. Someone brought it in and it spread, and we were just coughing the entire time. Oh my God, like you see me in one of the scenes where Viper is clocking, or Viper and Faith are clocking Jaunty, and I'm sitting there like one of my memeable moments, and like you see me in the background coughing, and you hear one of the coughs at one point. So like we were all sick, coughing, and so she throws it to Olga. Olga doesn't catch it, unfortunately. And then the ball goes to Bridget, player 082. Is it 82? No, 84. One of those. And she looks around and she chooses me. And the ball was always going to go to me because at one point I turn around to Isaac. I'm like, if I have the ball, can you catch it? And he's like, yes, I trust you to throw it to me. I was like, okay, I can do it. And they must have seen and read my lips at the right time, but they saw me say, I can do it. And so even though when Bridget asked me, like, can you run? I was like, I don't know, maybe. Because I'm still at this point, like, I'm like I'm like having my hands shake like that. So I look like nervous, but I was fine. But I just needed them. At this point, this ball 50, I'm like, I might still be able to make it out of here. Let me play up the I'm a little gay Asian boy. Like, I'm in the back for a reason. I cannot catch this. So when she asked me, honestly, I should have said all that, because when she asked me if I could run, I was like, I don't know, maybe. She's like, I'm choosing you. And I was like, okay, you know what? I can do this, but I need you to release the ball high. And I'm demonstrating this. So I'm like, I'm demonstrating. Release the ball up here because everyone's throwing it short. And that's why no one's catching it, because it's too short and there's not enough airtime. But at this point, I mean, they don't show this, but the bleachers are, the people on the bleachers are screaming. They're loud. People are saying, throw it overhand. And I'm like, no, I don't want it overhand. I want it underhand.
Mm-hmm.
So, because I'm scared that overhand might be too fast, I just want a slower ball. As long as it's high, I can run to it and get under it and catch it. So I'm demonstrating, releasing it up here, and reliving the experience. But Bridget is like 1, 2, 3, releases it on 4, and I see the ball release out of her hands way too low, and my eyes just go like, and I'm running. I'm like, but I already knew as soon as the ball releases from hand, I'm like, I just lost. But I'm running, I'm trying, and like I kind of like slide and dive for it in like a graceful way, because that's just who I am. I'm very graceful, and it bounces past me, and you see me like try to swat it like a fly, but it's because the ball like hits the floor, bounces past me, and I'm frozen. And I've been saying this, but I never understood what it meant when people said time was frozen or time stood still. But I got to experience that. And it's like, it really was like time stood still. Like if you see like dust in the air when the light hits it, it's like everything stood still and was really frozen. All I could do was stare at the floor. And I don't remember anything else. My senses were like turned off. I couldn't hear anything. I couldn't see anything else. I don't know if I was breathing. All that was going through my mind was that I just lost $4.5 million, and it wasn't really my fault. And yes, I'm responsible too, because I didn't catch it. But at the same time, I don't think that was honestly humanly catchable. And I'm not like trying to shade Bridget in any way, by the way. Like, I love her. Bridget's a great person. And but it was tough. It's a very hard pill to swallow. And I still am back and forth between, what if it was a catchable throw and I messed up? Like, would that be worse? I don't know. But I remember seeing her after I have been eliminated. We're in a hotel, and I go up to her. She's like, oh my God, like, I thought you would hate me. And I was like, no, like, I don't hate you. I know you did not want to be eliminated either. None of us want to be eliminated. No one went in I don't know, maybe someone did. I'm not going to say who, but maybe someone did not want to be there anymore and screwed up their throw on purpose. But I'm not going to say anything, not confirming nor denying anything. But whoever was throwing, whoever was catching, you tried. You did not want to be eliminated. And so I recognize that Bridget did not throw it low, wanting to be eliminated. And so I give her grace for that. But I'll still joke around about it. I'm an asshole, so I'm not gonna let you live it down. I'm gonna tease you about it because I think it's funny, honestly. Like I'm so unserious as a person. I just want to have fun. And if we can joke around about that, like if we can joke around about these things that are honestly like traumatic for us and kind of dumb it down where it's not as serious as it was, like I love that. Let's make things a little less insignificant, I think. Let's take things a little less seriously. And while yes, it is serious, it's $4.5 million. I also recognize that there's so much luck involved because what if I did make it through? What if I made it through Mingo? What if I made it through marbles? I could have been eliminated on a slide and slides and ladders.
Yep.
Like you just don't know. There's so much luck involved. So I think that's what helps me like really cope with it and losing because I didn't go into the game with a mindset of I'm winning. Like this is my game. Like 456 people, I don't care how many it is I'm winning. Like I did not go in with that mindset. Yes, I want to win, but I was also realistic in terms of there's just so much luck involved. And so I think that's what makes it easier to live with what happens, even though it is still very difficult. But I was so close, ball number 15. But I'm also glad that I was eliminated in the way that I was because I went out with Viper and Isaac, and I think that's such a great story, even if it wasn't shown.
You're also going out with people that you genuinely trusted as well, so you're able to process what just happened with people you feel close to.
Exactly. And it's like games like Survivor, like processing is like a big thing and decompression when you play these games of deceit. And I'm glad I didn't go out in a deceitful way where my trust was broken because I have played a game where I was deceived and betrayed and voted out by someone that I really trusted. And that's very hurtful. And it takes time to decompress because what I tell people is that yes, I've been in a game for millions of dollars. I played a real show that is on TV. And I've also played LRGs, which are just completely fan made and almost like backyard games. And the feelings are the same when you play these games. It doesn't matter what's on the line. It doesn't matter that you're playing a game for millions of dollars or nothing. The feelings are the same. It's not normal to do any of these things, not normal to vote people out or blindside them or anything like that. And so the feelings and the trauma bonding as a result of these games is very valid and very real. Betrayal that you experience on a game is the same as betrayal that you experience in your everyday life. It doesn't matter. I mean, this is what I feel and what I believe based on my experiences, but the context of what causes a feeling doesn't matter. The feeling is valid and the same no matter what. So me being betrayed in a real life situation is the same as me being betrayed in a game because I've experienced betrayal in a game and it brought back those feelings that I felt when I was betrayed in a real life situation. So these feelings that you experience are so valid. And I hope, and I'm trying to, I guess, break down the sentiment that because the stakes aren't there and it's not the same situation that the feelings aren't as valid, but they are just as valid.
100%. I couldn't have said it better myself because you are all real people. So the way you feel about something could be completely different versus how someone else feels about it. But at the same time, there's emotion. Emotion is involved at the end of the day, no matter what you do. And that's why it makes these games so difficult to play because you're going to feel some type of way when you're eliminated. The only person that doesn't feel some type of way is maybe the winner, but maybe even not so because they experience within the game something that's going to pull at their heartstrings or make them feel that deep emotion within themselves.
Exactly. Yeah. And that's the point of these games too. They want these emotional reactions because that makes good TV. That's what we want to see. We don't want to see something easy to play. We want to see that something that's difficult. We want to see people make choices that aren't normal. And so that's the entire point. That's why we watch these games. And I'm so glad that I didn't go out in a scenario where I felt like I was betrayed or targeted specifically, because while I did have a haiku prepared for if I got eliminated, which would have been, so a haiku is 575 syllables. So my haiku was cold-blooded but murder, cold-blooded murder. Warm droplets stream down my spine. Eliminated, which is so cool because eliminated is 5 syllables. It's so good. This is what I was doing in a hotel at 2 a.m. when I couldn't sleep. I was like thinking, like, that's how you know I'm an overthinker. I think out every scenario, like, this is what I was doing in my head. But I'm so glad I didn't go out in that way because that is so painful. And so I feel for anyone who feels like they were betrayed or targeted for something, because that's really tough. And we're all human beings. Our emotions are valid and they're very real. And just because it's a game, it's what happens in these games involve real human emotions. And I know a lot of people like to say it's a game as a way of trying to like invalidate that experience, but like these emotions are so real.
They're 100% real. And you can say it's a game, but if someone's upset and they feel some type of way about how the game ended for them personally, they can feel that. That's
Exactly. They're
okay
allowed
too.
to. It's valid.
Yes. Yes, definitely. Because we are playing for tons and tons of money and it is a game design. But at the same time, when you take the human emotion and mix that in and stir it all together, you are going to get, as you said, these television moments. You are going to get the raw emotion that does come out because the level of stress, you're not sleeping as much. So you are adding all those different variables into it. And this is why these games are created, because of the people that are playing the game.
Exactly. Yeah. 100% agree. And that's why I love it so much. It's crazy because I'm always like, why do I put myself through this? Like I could be playing a Survivor game and be like going to tribal council first or something. And I'm like, why did I sign up for this? But at the same time, you love it so much as a viewer and as a player.
There's some type of thrill behind it, definitely
There
so. But
absolutely is.
Manfred, is there anything that you want to say before we wrap this up in terms of your overall experience on the show?
Oh my God, I'm so incredibly grateful for this experience and opportunity. I know it's easy, especially for a lot of us, like hundreds of us, to feel disappointed by our experience in a game, or maybe the fact that we didn't make it as far as we wanted to, or maybe we weren't shown as much. I've been saying that it is a privilege to have been able to play this game and to have been shown on screen, but it's a luxury to have been able to been heard on a show, and to not forget that hundreds of thousands, well, over 100,000 people applied and would have killed to be in our spot even if we went home first. So just always remember that Netflix saw something in every single one of us and wanted us for a specific reason, and we were chosen. And that is so validating, especially for me, to feel seen. That's like something that's very important to me. And just to remember to be grateful because someone else would have killed to be in your shoes. And so while it's easy for me to sometimes feel disappointed that I didn't get as much as I wanted out of it, I am so grateful for this experience and to just feel like I was seen. So I think that's what I'm going to close out with. And just that it was just Thanksgiving. Like, I'm so thankful. That's all I can say. So thankful for this experience.
Manfred, I'm so glad you came on here and were able to explain your story, your thought process of the game, how you wanted to play. And you're awesome. You're fantastic. And I was hoping we would see more of you, but just the slightest little throw knocked you out of there. But I think you would have gone far if that didn't happen.
Oh, absolutely. And that's what makes it a little harder to accept that I was eliminated, because I feel like I would have done well in Mingo. I felt like I had the connections for Mingo to make it through. And then I already had a strategy for marbles. There's this, I think it's called NIM, but there's a game you can play with marbles where you choose between 1 and 3 marbles every round. Whoever takes the last marble loses. There's a way to win that 100% of the time. So I already had a game plan. Whether or not I would have been able to play it, I don't know. But that makes it a little harder to accept. But at the same time, I'm still so grateful. that's all I can really say about it.
I love to hear it. Once again, Manfred, thank you so much for coming on this podcast. Everybody else, be sure to check out everything we have going on the Reality After Show. I have many more Squid Game, The Challenge Season 2 interviews. We have Survivor. We have the football podcast. We're wrapping up 99 to beat on our end. And so, Manfred, such a pleasure. Thank you again.
Thank you so much for having me. I had so much fun.